Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. I got a lot going on, like literally. But welcome to the channel. Um, I'm really looking forward to having this conversation. And just a heads up, I'm a practicing witch. I call myself a cottage witch. I like that term, and I've adopted it some time ago. For myself, I like being a cottage witch. It basically, for me, encompasses quite a few different things, but just understand that I focus a lot on the tasks of domesticity as magical acts and as ritual. And there's a lot more to it, but if you were curious, because I think that kind of matters. So I'm, a bit of a folk witch. Let me get some more light going here. I'm a bit of a folk witch, if you will. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to give an idea on where I'm going with this conversation and where we're going with this. I'm also a woman of a certain age, so we're gonna come with that energy too. Oh, I forgot to put my earrings on. Let's do that while I'm talking because I bought these years ago on Amazon. They held up and I just think they're cute. My nails, I'm gonna make fix my nails. It's on my to do. I love having pretty nails. I just didn't have a minute to do it. I did. I just chose to do something else with those minutes. Anyway, let's talk about this topic today. Um, Magic is an abstract when you've been alive long enough, basically, because you've seen how power actually works. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying we've all had access to elders who either at some point has stumbled upon or who have actively, they usually didn't actively seek out truth because they you would tell, but we've stumbled across elders who was clear they don't want to ever learn the truth. They want to stay in their bubble. They don't want you to disturb it. Those are the people we're finding them today. They're holding on to ideals and belief no matter how damaging it has been and it currently is. They want to hold on to it. So I wanted, when you get up in age, you start to understand that there are people who they can't fathom existence without, even though it's horrible, religion, patriarchal beliefs, theology, all that, because they're so indoctrinated. Without the existence of that theology and that worldview, they don't think they can make it. They don't think they can make it. And so they feel like those are the ones who are going to be claiming that's just demon, that's the devil coming through you no matter what. Have grace for these people, especially if they're Black. I need you to have grace for them. Psychologically, spiritually, there is a fracture, and they're telling you without saying exact words that at this time, because you can't speak over anybody's life, well, you can, but I would suggest you don't. At this time, they don't have the bandwidth, the capacity to live truthfully. And no, in you're gonna just have to give grace to them. My grandmother left this plane of existence with that. Um, You know, what we can't walk your truth though. Walk your truth. I have to say that at first because I think it's important. I don't want anybody because I realize we have some of our elders are living older folk. It's hard to look up to them right now. It's hard. It's hard because you could see the damage as you age, as you live long enough. You see how the light has been squeezed out of them, and it's a flicker, and they believe that flicker is through the strength of their belief in the patriarchal systems, the religion, that the harmful white supremacist theology that has been here for centuries. Um, have grace. So now, with that being said, I'm gonna get into it. I am not one of those people. How do you not become that type of adult, that type of elder? Stay learning, stay open, be flexible, and intuition. Your intuition, not your fears, because that's all fear based, but your intuition. Stay with me and you'll learn more about how to differentiate. Let's talk about age again. So, age teaches you that power doesn't disappear, it reorganizes. So, the longer you live, you see this. I'm going to skip ahead. The magic is here, the magic is within us. I'm going to talk specifically about people with melanated skin. Um, they did a great job at trying to tell us it's beyond just using our bodies for labor. There's a reason it was us and not somebody else. There's a reason. Okay. There is some mystical stuff going on here. Stop thinking devil worship. Stop thinking satanic. Come back. The basis is what they've been teaching us all along. Take the glasses off, take the veil off, and see what it is. We're gonna stay because I got a lot to talk about. When you're young, when I was young, I could definitely say that systems look separate. I do love in the days of information age, and because of Google, because of these apps, there are people who have done some deconstruction and some understanding on academic levels. There are people who went through the systems, theology school, things like that, and they're coming back and they're like, hey guys, guess what? Recorded history states blah, 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 blah. This flies in the face of everything we've been taught. And then when we try to make these things come together so this system that we believe in actually makes sense to me, it doesn't. And we hear these people in what is the answer? Like, what we keep thinking all this is separate. Like, patriarchy is separate from racism. Beating kids, child abuse is different from sexual predators. Um, the rich is, you know, they, to some degree, I think we do think they're favored by God because the God, and I'm just going to say that because when you're young, you think these are separate. There are some who be as you get old. I want you to say when you're young, and I mean young. As you get older and you live and you basically start paying bills, or you become part of the system because you got a job, you start to see that it's not a separate system at all. All the isms, everything else, it's all working as designed, and it's global. It's not just here in this country. You start to see continuity. The same power just changes language, symbols, and strategy. So another thing I'm going to tell you is what disappears publicly often survives structurally. Got my notes here. So my little talking points so I can come at it. So for the longest time, I probably have said it here, Rome fell, y'all, like systems fall. And I use that as a basically like the omen of like these governments, their systems. I'm using the term systems, religion, all that. They all go hand in hand. It fell, but actually, I'm going to correct myself. It transitioned. They learned that control through force wasn't going to be efficient long term, right? Because before it was just brutality, which is how I've been asking this question. It is through brutality that the midden patriarchy was on the rise. Me and my daughter were talking about this last night. I didn't ask her if she minds if I share, but she doesn't watch, so it doesn't matter. She's doing stuff, but she she has a wonderful theory, and I'm going to paraphrase it, summarize it quickly for you guys on the question of what happened. And she's college educated, 2 degree Black woman, and she's like, I remember in my anthropology class, and she did like further work in anthropology. If it was possible, she definitely would be doing something in that field as her job. But alas, she went in a different direction ish. But she said, I want you to think about how um, humans have evolved on the land. And she talked about the fact that, the ideas of the hunter gatherer stop. People got hunter is the man and the gatherer is the woman. That's false. It's actually incredibly false. She prefaced her theory with, I want you to think about when you see pictures of indigenous people and when you see ancient man, what we consider ancient man, and we see like the physical structures of men and women are not that different. She said women have been bred to have more fat now. It has to do with diet. But let me take you back. In the days when we stopped being nomadic and we stopped being nomadic. So now we're planting things. So we're, not horticulture, agricultural society is a difference. And she broke that down too. But if you know, you know. So her theory is once basically the land, there's something to protect. It's not about people, it's the space, the food, the land itself, what's happening, the growth. Um, when the other humans came for whatever, nefarious reasons or not, well, there's only one of us that can breastfeed. The children are still happening. So it's not about being weak, it's just about efficiency. So will you guys go out there? You go the border and, protect. Because only one of us, there's the other humans are dependent on us. It's not a weakness, it's just the efficiency aspect. The other, they start, you know, I her point was something happened psychologically with the men. And this sense of ownership, which I'm going to bring us to, something got messed up. We say messed up, or something developed, evolved in a pattern for them. And we have been living the experience of that type of evolving that occurred in their mind, or that type of transition that occurred because this ownership thing came up. So back to the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire learned that control through force it was inefficient. So belief systems outlast armies. Okay. And moral authority scales better than violence. The way we talk about, like, you hear how like corporate speak and all that sort of stuff, it didn't evolve from anything. Stop again. When you get older, you start to see continuity. You start to see this line that it does feel like nobody else sees as you get older, but you start to see a through line. Um, Empire realized belief was cheaper than war. There's history to back up what I'm saying. Think about it. Hey, sunflower and thistle. um, the church functioned as a continued empire. So the Catholic Church uh, inherited Roman hierarchy. That is facts. I'm not, y'all know that, right? Administration and also the reach. Um, we know that things split up within the Catholic Church. The different paths and all that, the Calvinism, which the Black Americans and all that typically are following behind, they don't realize it. But anyway, some do. I shouldn't be crass and say that. But I can tell you right now, a lot don't. They don't think about theology on that scale. It's about the experience on Sunday. And there's a reason for that. Obedience. Obedience was reframed as holiness. Spiritual authority replaced imperial decree. So political domination became spiritual obedience. That's why the niceness that we see with some of the evil people, niceness. It's important to look nice. Um, that's part of this. And you see that this they want to be perceived as good. There are people who desperately want to be perceived as good. This is coming from this theology, by the way. Patriarchy is a system of dominion, not personality. Here's my tie-in. I brought up my daughter's understanding of her theory about how patriarchal systems may have begun, how it may have started once we stop being nomadic people. Um, and this concept of ownership. And it got me to thinking about ownership as well. So patriarchy is not just men behaving badly. Most of my life, I have believed that that's what patriarchy was. It was just men being behaving badly. We see it in rom-coms, which chick literature. We used to call it chick lit back in the day. Coming up, so let me see. In 92, I was 18. I graduated high school in 1992. So I'm going to mark that as kind of going into my adult years. Um, a young woman still by the standards. I mean, I'm still a baby in my mind, but y'all know. Legally, I'm 18. I'm legal, right? So as I'm going into the world and the media is intentional, by the way. Please, it's always deeper than what you think it is. Please stop thinking it's never that deep. Nothing gets made without a sign off. Who's signing it off? Start asking those questions. Nothing is made and sent out to the public without a sign off. And when it's signed off and it has an impact that wasn't accounted for, it is canceled. Can we say Lovecraft Country? HBO? Um, American Gods? Anyway, patriarchy is not, please don't reduce it down to men behaving badly. Most of my life, that has been my takeaway. Juxtapose that with me growing in my spirituality, me calling myself a witch. I could say occultist, I could say spiritualist, and I so know for some people it is that deep. For me, that's as deep as I like it to go, witch. Because one, I think it's that refusal to be like everybody else. I have a not like the other girl syndrome. It translated into womanhood. So I know it disturbs people when I say witch, and I think I like it, and that's why I like to keep messing with that term. A little bit about me, little inner troll. See, it's not just y'all; it's all of us. Anyway, but see how I can tell you that. But I like it, and I'm not going to change it. But I do like calling myself a witch. Um, Patriarchy is a structure that legitimizes ownership. Ownership. Dominion is extended over women's bodies. Look at the tenets of all the religions that people are following, whether it's Judaism, whether it's Islam or the Muslim faith, or whether it's Christianity as well. The dominion over women's bodies, over children, over animals, and over land. Patriarchy is the theology of ownership. Now, who gets to be on top? Who gets to do all the owning? Well, we see who has decided that. We see the group of people who have made that determination. Our entire history books are filled with who made that determination. Um, let's get the magic into this conversation. So magic had to be made abstract to maintain control. Let me repeat that. Magic had to be made abstract to maintain control. Embodied knowing, your knowing threatens centralized authority. Your intuition bypasses institutions. Who is said to have a very strong grasp of their embodiment of knowing, their intuition? Which group of people? Which group is Oh, okay, cool. Ancestral memory does not require permission. And here's the thing about ancestral memory, it's in the blood. We've proven it. We've proven it through science that trauma is passed down. That means it's going down to the white people too. I just want to be clear on that. If the trauma is being passed down, the trauma is also being passed down in the blood to y'all. The, y'all, it's all being passed down. That's why people still, we keep asking the question, it's 2025. Why people still act like this is 2026? Why are people still acting this way? Because it's being passed down. Also, the system is in place to reinforce it. So, magic became superstition, the body became suspect, and authority moved outward. Magic wasn't erased, it was discredited. That's why people, and listen, we have charlatans amongst us, y'all. Y'all know that, right? Charlatans are amongst us. There are people, they're the number of young white women right now who I really desperately want to believe are really about this magical life, are really about feminism as they state. I want to believe you, but I low key don't, because if the moment there are tells to this, their willingness to submit to the institution of marriage in the most traditional sense, that lets me know where you stand. I'm not talking about women, I'm talking about young. There's a reason I'm saying this, young women, because you've been shown, you have the information laid out before you. It's also in their speak. It's what they're not saying as well. When I see more Black women, not enough, I want even more in droves, but I'm seeing more and more step out away from patriot, because part of this is to deconstruct Christianity, Muslim religion in general. But along with that, you're going to have to come back to this patriarchal conversation. And those are not separate systems. You see what I'm talking about? When you get older, you see the through line. I'm not saying that young people don't see this, but as you become an adult and you learn, you see the through line. One, they're all existing for a reason. Ownership, the theology of that. Um, so I want to talk about modern exposures aren't creating a new evil. They revealed old structures. So the files are out, the Epstein files, y'all know. One of the things I tell you is, please, I hear people say, oh, this is satanic, this is demonic. I'm hearing all these terms. Oh, see, this is the Illuminati stuff we were all talking about. This is the underhand. But my Jesus, my Black Jesus would never pause. Okay. Abuse and exploitation are not anomalies. First of all, your Bible scriptures was telling these crazy stories. A virgin, a maiden, a girl was raped by a deity, not given consent to carry someone that you're is in the books. It's rotten. The whole freaking system is rotten. Stop trying, my people. I'm speaking to my people, women and Black people. I'm looking at y'all and I'm telling y'all something. We got a really good habit of making something out of nothing. We have a really good way of taking scraps and turning it into something else. This is not something we need to throw these scraps out. We don't need to try to remix this into something. This is why I created something I'm referring to as modern hoodoo. I'm not, that's what I call it, my version of hoodoo. Get one of my books. It's somewhere in the back. Or is it? Is it? Yeah, it's back there. Hoodoo Grimoire. Get my books, because it's basically a place for you to catalog your story, but I get you started with information. You can do hoodoo without the Bible. It's rotten. The whole system is rotten. It's all one big system. George Carlin said it's all one big club. And guess what? You're not in it. You're not getting in either. This was not for us, it's not made for us. We ain't getting in this club and holding up the beliefs by hating on each other and abusing each other. In those files, there's women supporting this craziness, y'all. But the whole thing is rotten. These abuses and all this are protected by hierarchy. Systems defend power first and innocence last. No, they don't care. No one cares that they kid. No one cares. They don't care. That's the point. Women's bodies, children, animals, land. They have a book that they conspired over the years with stories and letters and so forth. And they created this agenda that has been lasting far too long, to the point of it's always been perverted. We're just seeing the perversion at scales we're not accustomed to. It's always been this rotten, it's always been this disgusting. Men of means, of resources, which has mean they have power, have always been like this. When you hear the young adults say there is no such thing as a good billionaire, even your faves, I don't care who they are, to amass that, to hoard that amount of money, somebody got stepped on. Some people got stepped on in some capacity. Exposure doesn't break systems, it reveals who they were built to protect. The Epstein files. Exposure is not breaking it. That orange man, that decrepit, sick, disgusting, foul person is not going to jail right now, is he? He's like, I don't know. He's all of them. It's the system. They're just actors playing their parts. This is what it is. It is this. It's ugly. Some of us have been saying this for years, by the way. People who look like me a lot. But it reveals who they were built to protect, and it ain't us. We're never getting in the club. Living witchcraft is a direct threat to the dominion. Living witchcraft is a direct threat because it restores authority to the body, the land. Think about what it is to truly practice this thing called witchcraft, to be an occultist, to be a spiritualist, and relationship rather than rule. I have plants. I see these plants as living creatures that I get to take care of. I see my children that I birth as living creatures, as people that I was honored to take care of. It was hard because of the systems that are in place. But if I was to take those systems out of the way and it was a matriarchal society, which is not the opposite of patriarchal, people think that that's not what that means. It would have been pleasurable more often than not. A person who trusts their own knowing is difficult to govern. Me being who I am and where I'm at, that's why this upset. Mhm. That is why there are so many women, young women, who they don't want to hear it. I was one, I know. They don't want to hear but so much of this because they don't have the capacity. And also, it's kind of important that the fairy tale lie and all this stuff, the romance and all this stuff really exists because they're kind of banking on it, y'all. They've been told in their life, for the life that they live, that this is real. Afternoon, that this is real. And they desperately need it to be real because if not, then what? And it's hard to fathom. I started this conversation with us talking about older people. Please understand, it ain't just them. A lot of people, they feel there's a fracture happening, it's spiritually and it's psychologically, and they really think they can't live without this ideology, this structure. Um, that is the point. Now, because I am a practitioner of sorts, I will tell you that is a powerful spell. That is a powerful spell. But if you live long enough, you understand it's not abstract. There is a direct solution. But it's a work, it's work. That's why we call them workings, because it's work. It's work. um, this all becomes clear with age again because age brings pattern recognition. I talked about this the last time I was on. And you stop debating outcomes. A learned person and learn by lived experiences. They put a Yeah, they put a damn sodas commercial. Oh, while I was talking. Shoot. I was like, who put a soda commercial? It's interrupting. Fun fact, that's what they do now, y'all. This is not me. The only thing I control is how often the ads come up. Um, sorry. And I have it set to like what is it? Conservative or something, so you're not blasted. There can be more ads actually coming through. I don't do that because I think it disrupts the live. I am a small person, so to turn ads off completely, first of all, I don't even know if that's an option, to be honest with you. I don't know if there's an option to completely turn ads off. But I'm very small, so the sense that I get from my based on my views, um, that'd be tough for me. So I appreciate you for staying with me through the ads. I really do. Um, why this becomes clear with age. So I talked about you stop debating outcomes and you stop mistaking repetition for coincidence. I really believe in coincidence at this stage of my life. I really don't. Sometimes, a bird's just a bird, and it is what it is. I understand that. That's where my discernment comes into play. But when there's certain, I have pattern recognition on 10. One, I'm a woman. As a woman, as a black woman, emphasis on a black. My head's always on a swivel. I don't know what it's not like to live without checking the room, checking the situation. The way I move through the world is very different. The irony and all this, with all the events that are happening currently, uh, which is the system doing what it has always done. But this administration, there are white people waking up to the reality that I live. I have a son and a daughter. They're adults. Do you not? Oh, the feeling that they could be kidnapped, the feeling that they'll be taken out of and interrupt their life and be put in a holding cell for an indefinite amount of time for something that became they're marked as illegal because these people made that decision. This activity is illegal, and the whole system works to make sure that that's carried out. Yeah, I know a little something about that. I live it. I'm living it right now. My Neither one of my adult children are in my eyesight, so even as I talk to you, there's a split in me that is always sending out protection. Just protect them, protect them, protect them. And then I want you to multiply that by the other people that I know, my family and loved ones and so forth and friends. Yeah, I've been living like this. That's how it's supposed to work though. I'm supposed to have that feeling all the time. That's the point. It's supposed to keep me humble as a black person, specifically as a woman. Is supposed to keep me in line and not make me, buck up too much. Um, yeah. Magic isn't abstract. Once you've watched Power rebrand itself your entire life. So I have historical knowledge and I have current day and I have all the in between. And because I am a magical being, I also, to some degree, can tap into enough to understand within my realm what may be to come as much as I need to. Um, so magic is no longer abstract. When you understand the levels of evil, you got to stop. And somebody said, no, that's just people, and I'll give you that. That is also just people, but it's also sometimes a bird is just a bird. Sometimes what you see is what you see. You are seeing magic at work. You are seeing what you think you're seeing. It Take out the media, the movies, and what you read and the fantastical things. This is it. This is the magic, y'all. You see how it works? You see how if you affirmations, the Bible and the scriptures and the Quran and so forth, the Jewish mysticism, all of it. You see how this all system works. You see how if you keep preaching, the ministers keep preaching this. You see what they did to the black church because in the civil rights era, once once we were allowed to have our own church services, and we had literacy and we read those other scriptures that didn't just talk about how we were cursed by God on the strength of Ham and some other stuff that they didn't told these people, and whenever scriptures they didn't put together to tell my people this. And this didn't just happen. People, I love when people are like, oh, this is just, no. There's a line. I can go back. I know my grandmom's grandmom was a slave. That ain't that far to me. My grandmom just died. The whole thing is one big con, one big spell. I hope you break the spell. Your mind. I talk about the people who need grace. If you are one of those people, if you've ever been inspired by the strength of Black women specifically, and I'm Black American women, I'm going is us. If you've ever been inspired by just how much has been endured and how we still thrive, let that be your affirmation. Stop looking up to this man, this figure, even this Jesus figure. What did he really do? He died for our sins. So you wonder why these people are often kids in these files. Look at what they use as their doctrine of how to live their life. So a deity, a father, lets his son get killed as a sacrifice for your sins. That don't even make no sense. At no point would I ever let one of my kids ever take one of my kids out. My living, breathing children, my adult child, for who? For what? I would never do that because we don't do that. We being women, we don't do that. Somebody said Jesus, I noticed like I'll get that Jesus is king. There are no kings. Get away from that. You see, it's a whole system. Get away from the ideology of a king or you need a male to follow. When we tell you to deconstruct from religion, it means this concept of patriarchy, of that this man is in charge, that you're somehow less than. Matriarchy, we work together. We're not over them. And if you believe that, I'm gonna need you to go just Google matriarchy. Like, just start there. Stop being willfully stupid, women. I'm so sick of this right now. And as you get older, you see it. But the more I talk like this, do you realize I got women looking at me and they just think I'm bitter? They just think I'm angry. Why would you not be bitter and angry? Because you want to believe in this stuff because you're hoping that you somehow carve out a way. It's effed up. But if you carve out a space where you get to be happy in it, you're good with it. And as long as we continue to live this way, magic will seem abstract. We are magical beings. If you want to look for a savior, look to your mama because she made you, even if she's effed up. Because a lot of people out here got some real effed up mothers, and there's a reason they're effed up. A lot of them wanted to carve out a space in this system so they could be a little bit happy. Some of them couldn't carve out a space, so they turned to drugs, they turned to addictions. Some women's addiction are men, hoping they find their savior. Most of the women sitting in jail right now is behind some man in some capacity, y'all. We're not built for this. We're not built for that. That's not. And if also, if I'm supposed to be submissive to this God, which is essentially the man, and when you talk about this, the white Jesus is what comes to mind to black people. They don't lie, y'all know it. When you think about Jesus and the imagery, because they fed this to us from the beginning on pamphlets, on anything, it was always a white Jesus. Most of us, for a novelty, will have a black figure as Jesus, but look at his hair. It ain't nigga nappy. You know why. Somebody needs to talk like this. I'm sick of these polite conversations on this BS. Nice to hear you and your thoughts. Have a great night. Pop out. Okay, thank you. um, but yeah, it gets to a freaking point. It gets to a point of exhaustion, and the older I get, I'm and I struggle with patience. I'm like, y'all taking too freaking long to get to the point. I know we still gotta hustle and we still gotta work because the system is still very much in charge. The real truth, the real truth, in order to break the system, first of all, is knowledge. And we got to get our hands dirty. We got to get away from the dominion theology, the this obsession with being good when there is no goodness, this obsession with they got y'all ready to be surveilled because of the sky daddy, which you say, I feel like, wait, I feel like She-Hulk because I'm always angry anymore. She-Hulk. Oh, I was like, Hulk, what is she saying? You feel like She-Hulk because you're always angry. And let's talk about parent. Okay, with that being said, for women, I'm going to say about age 35, something starts clicking. I have a just a in my experience poll, and I introduced it to a couple other women that I know. Around age 35, women, specifically women with children. So if you're a woman with children around age 35, and I'm noticing cases where not so much now, but I want to say definitely what I start noticing with my generation and millennials. It's a something's happening now. So I'm not going to say that, but I noticed that they tend to, if they were ever going to go back to church or get into church, that's around the age. There is something happening. There is a shift happening around that age. It's not a hard and fast rule that it's the age 35, but something starts to happen. If you are in that age range, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Not everybody goes to religion, but what starts to occur is you become very aware of your immortality. And as a mother, it's not just about you anymore, it's also about these people. What's going to happen to the kids? And then these conversations around salvation and saving your soul, they start to seep in more than it would have before. Now, I say this when I notice specifically Gen X millennials, these conversations, and to some degree, depending on who, I mean, I was raised around black women, so I'm going to talk about black women. But back in the 80s, there was a big, like, born again thing. That whole effort to get us back into the church. And I saw a lot of people, they start going to the church, and I heard the terms backsliding and all that sort of stuff. Definitely in the 80s. And there's a reason for that, and I alluded to it earlier. So let me tell you the reason for that. The reason they were trying to get you back, get us back into the church, is because after the civil rights movement, which again, if you know, never ended, but the way we teach history in this country specifically is to give in like dates in like, and they separate what these are the modern times. That's why you got a bunch of white kids walking around here thinking everything's a damn joke because it's over. That's why you got black kids who are living in the suburbs, hanging around with these white kids, letting them call them nigga because this is just a joke. and nothing, we all joking together. Everything's just damn joke. I mean, they are immature, yes, because they're still children, but that's why. It's the way, and that's intentional as well. Nothing is by accident. It's one big system. And yes, even you sitting where you are in your little place where you think you're inconsequential, you too, you're part of it. You live here. It's the whole globe, by the way. It ain't just this country. Y'all get that. But yeah, I'm on a tangent. I was supposed to wrap up. My notes been done. I didn't went on a full on tangent, but y'all see how I feel about this because I'm freaking exhausted watching the continuity of a system, watching people be flabbergasted because it's happening to them. And that just speaks to the empathy. They've been taught through doctrine, theology, culture, that Black bodies are necessary to be maimed, killed, and to suffer for their goodness. This goodness thing is deep, y'all. It's the reason why when the culture of just when you see, especially this Nat is in here, especially when you see white women with money, specifically the ones who are rich or they have in society, it's important that they always appear, and these are the ones in the church as well, but they always have to appear pleasant. Everything is good and smiling. There is a gnat. This gnat has been in here. I got to do something about it. It's the plants, y'all. The very plants that I honor and love. Anyway, it's my sacrifice for them. But anyway, yeah, this good thing, this niceness, it's all rooted in that. But who killed so many? When we look at the historical records and why the laws and things are happening in this country, the amount of white women that were killing slaves, children specifically, is scary. They had to create laws and make it possible so they wouldn't have to go to jail because they was beating them to death. And again, these are not one-offs. They were beating people, children, Black bodies to death. Do you know how much it takes to beat somebody to death? To death? But they were smiling and they were nice and they looked like life and pleasantries and all that sort of stuff. Where I'm using this as an example, I'm telling you, but I see this amongst all women. I see this amongst all women. It is a larger scale of what's happening with that. And we see the consequence of that. And there are people who are awakening to this now who were not melanated people, and they're genuinely shocked because for the first time they are discovering empathy. And to go back, I saw somebody say something. It's funny that we consider Jesus a savior because for the first time people saw an empathetic man and thought he's a messiah. Empathy is such a foreign freaking concept. He became a messiah. That's motherhood in most cases. That's women. That's women. Women, I see women who will kick it with people low life. They'll help other people. Even the ones who are pretending to be good and they're evil inside, even they have moments of that. The women, I see that. That's the crazy part. But the Messiah, he had some empathy and they worshiped him. Child, which of the raves says, yeah, I've started researching the occult, witchcraft, etc. about 3 years ago, and I started researching it all on my own because some crap went down, and I said, nope, never letting this crap happen again. I can't tell you enough. A friend of mine says people, like when it comes to relationships, especially when it comes to relationships with people who aren't very kind, whether it's your parents, whether it's your children, whether it's your friends or your spouse. Some people have gotten very accustomed to crumbs, and I think society as a whole has gotten very accustomed to crumbs and the promise of a full meal. People are willing to kill over that promise of even sitting at the table to have access to that meal. to sit with the elites. Look at 50 Cent. Look at Snoop Dogg. Look at Nicki Minaj. To sit and it's mm, yeah, look at the women. Look at Erica Kirk. Look at speaking of those files, Fergie. Look at Jelaine Maxwell. What they'll do for crumbs is crazy. For the promise, or sometimes a seat, but you're never the ruler. You're never at the head. You're never going to be at the head. Some people settle for crumbs. I mentioned to carve out a space in this system where you get to be happy. Can you blame them though? It feels like it's too big. I fear the answer means us getting our hands dirty. And I fear it because we have been conditioned to not do that, which means we'd have to become even more radical. I believe they got in charge because of brute force. Um, it created a concept of ownership. I believe this as well. And we have been living that experience for far too long. And in order to change it, one, stop being weak. Y'all stop being weak. We got to get stronger. And I mean physically, we got to get stronger. Young women, stop trying to fit into this the ideal is for you to look like a child because children are weak. That's how they see you. Um, yeah. um, Stop being a lamb to slaughter. Stop being weak. Talk back. Start where you at. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but to be a woman in this society, and this is across the globe, people keep thinking it's not everywhere. And again, that's part of the ruse. That's the thing that you want to buy into, you want to believe, because as long as you can believe that, you can make validations and you can navigate in the world where you're not stressed and calm and you're not anxious. You should be anxious, you should be angry, and you should be stressed because you are not safe. And getting one of these men on a team and in your house doesn't make you safe. They tell you, well, the man is there to protect and provide. Protect against who? The other men? Well, he's one. What if it's more than one? Y'all, the men are afraid of the other men too. You're right, it's everywhere. Get strong. This is one of my motivations to get into shape. In case I want to exercise enough to be able to have the sex and fight. Get back to the basics of humanity. Strip away all that other stuff. Remember, dominion over your body. Why do you think you move the way you move as it relates to sex, relationships? It is the spell. Break the spell. True witchcraft. True witchcraft is the breaking of that spell. That is why it is demonized the way that it is. That is why it is. That's why they had laws. The magic is not abstract. It's not fake. It is for real. It is very real. Some of us are finally waking up and realizing it. We out here bleeding to death and not dying. We the only ones that do that. We shed blood. Some of us, me, have abnormalities within the uterine. The amount of that fibroids, I'm starting to think of something else. Yes, it's the food, it's the air, it's the water we drink, and all that sort of stuff. I agree. I have questions because I'm starting to. When you understand the scale you would start asking questions too. There's something else going on here. And it is, because it's all one big system, y'all. It's all one, none of every ism, all of it. It's one big system. They stop violently making the system go. They got into theology. And here we are. What has changed is you see it more because we have developed technology to make it possible. So the Empress God says it's everywhere. It is everywhere. It's filthy. It's filthy with it. This is the spell. This the rituals and the people. Oh, the rituals they do. You were right. All the conspiracy people, you were right. All of you were right. We're all right. We knew it was dirty. We knew it was disgusting and filthy. We were all right. But it's all one big system. It's one big system. It's one big spell. It is and I'm gonna help you out because I don't like just talking stuff and not giving you something. Stop serving it. Y'all are familiar with the term egregore. So if you're not, going look real fast, but stay with me. To feed into this, to give God the glory, to give Allah the victory and the glory, to mute, to cover, to do all those things is supporting, is giving your energy, giving light, giving it all to this egregore, to this system, to this energy. Call your power back. I'm on the other side and I've been living it for decades now. My morality is strong. My intuition is peak. My wisdom is holding me, carrying me. Hard earned wisdom. And I'm still adding. I'm still adding to it. There's no finality where I just become all knowing. That is a dominion type of attitude where I own all the knowledge. I don't own, none of us do. As long as I'm here, I want to learn. And learning is experiencing and creating. Those are very women things, right? You hear what I'm saying? Matriarchal. Call your power back. Call your power back. Do rituals. Call it back. Advise the others who are willing to listen. Have grace. Have grace. And when I'm talking about the Black church, at this point, we're talking about women because it's almost all Black women, y'all. Have grace. It's going to take a minute. Have you ever really seen somebody under a spell? You looking at it. Look at the whole world. Even when you lay out historical facts, they will not walk away. They will not walk away from the system. It is a spell. Theology and financial discrimination, child, it's all one big thing. It is always that deep. It is always intentional. Please understand the way we talk about intention, nothing. If I'm telling you thought, if you understand the concept of law of attraction, if you bought into the concept of the secret and your thoughts become things, if you believe that, then why can't all this stuff be planned? Why can't this all be one big plan? And the part that I think that really messes people up, because you don't think like this, they just want to own everything. And they want to feel that they're good and right. So they use and created systems to support it. And they need to, dare I say, or a farm to keep it afloat. And when you feed this egregore, when you feed the system with your praise, with your energy, it continues. And it's filthy, polluted. You're seeing it more, but it's always been. This is what it's for. This is Christianity. This is it. This is the religion. This is all of them. The whole big three. This is what it is. To own. But who? Not you. You're never getting in the club. It's never going to be for us. Women, blacks, anybody that's not a you're in a specific type of European white male on top of that, because they got rules amongst the other Europeans. You see how sick it is and stupid? It's stupid. We know it's not true. You know they're not smarter than everybody. They know they're not smarter than everybody. That's why they have all these systems. My patience struggles because I need us to wake up. Call your power back. Step one, do what's in your heart for step two. But you got to get your hands dirty. We got to get our hands dirty. And I mean, me too. Um, I wrote this down and I'm going to read this. I wrote, living witchcraft isn't rebellion. I just said being a witch is a rebellion, but hear me out. Living witchcraft is not a rebellion. It is remembering what systems worked very hard to make you forget. It's remembering what this system, worked so hard to make you forget. Y'all, magic is actually real. It's real. Let's start using it. Not to glorify, not to feed this system, this egregore, this white supremacist, they know best. Um, Deconstruct, call your power back, and make that a ritual. And it is not a one and done, because this is a system and you're living in it currently. I thought I was going to be one of those people as well, where my attempt was to carve out a path in this system, or carve a space so I could just, live within that space and I can live. Um, but I think, as of, what is it, February 4th? I think that's been proven. That's not going to work for us. The white people are seeing that. They getting killed in the street, executed. Some of them are starting to see, that's not working. Fun fact, I already tried it. Y'all late. I'm glad you're here now. I'm a little pissy about it, but nevertheless, here you are. Women are actively still doing this. Women are actively still doing it. And look what's happening. The nuclear family. There is so much hate to Black women because they are showing you that, oddly enough, even without the nuclear family, it's getting done. Is it hard? Yes. Now, the part where they're saying, yeah, but look what they're producing. What do you mean, look what they're producing? They're not producing people who continue with the dominion attitude, right? Is that the problem? Because the opposite of white is always wrong. And the system is set up to jail them over anything. And there's this belief that white people are good. Remember, if you've been following me, and they don't do anything wrong. And even if they do, they're white, so it's okay. So I'll leave you with this. Police. Police are slave catchers over time. They were slave catchers. That's the point. The police as we know it today, to police people, those were the slave catchers. White men didn't, in the new world, why the hell would they set up a system where they're being checked? They use their laws. But as far as enforcement, yeah, they will bring you to court. But they were working under guys. We're gentlemen, and this is our God-given right, and we're setting up these practices. All this fancy theater and performance. The whole point was just, so they could seem good and moral. This is the right thing to do, and we're making the decisions because we know best. God gave us this. Just rotten. It's just rotten. The whole system is rotten. Psychopaths deviants have been running the world for a very long time through aura farming, through the hoarding of resources. They have done this. And the buy in, how it's done, is that we have to feed the system. Some of us feed it through fear and with our fear, but that works. And right now, I think it's fear. Um, you can't reason with a psychopath. You can't convert a pedophile. That's proven, by the way. You can't convert a pedophile. Some of these people don't need to go. They gotta go, y'all. So hey, how that happens, that I'm not pulling the trigger. I ain't telling you to go do something, but I'm just being honest. It's something wrong with these people. And something wrong with the people who don't want anything bad to happen to those people because it upsets their worldview too much. Because if all this is true, everything I know is a lie. And rather than process and deal with that, they'd rather let kids keep getting raped, girls keep getting raped. They'd rather more black bodies be slaughtered. They'd rather brown people over in another land get killed in genocide. They'd rather black people uh, where the land they sit on be taken from them, their resources stripped, and they be enslaved to them. They rather create systems and doctrine and theology to convince the world that this is the right way it should go. And it's been working. It's been working. My existence is not to serve. My existence is not to make someone be good. I don't want a savior. I don't want a savior. I'm not looking for a savior. And I know it ain't gonna come from some white Jesus. I need us to wake up. Move faster, move faster. That's the Aries in me. Move faster, catch up. Y'all taking too damn long. Look what they doing. Look what they've been doing. We can see it now. The veil is thin. Call your magic back. Everybody have a good day. Like, subscribe, share, do all the things. We'll see where this video takes us. All right. Bye.